Jared here, co-founder of Lincoln Mill. And in this video, I'm just going to reflect back a little bit on what got me interested in Halloween and horror and haunted houses in the early days when I was very young. And I think it's important to, if we're really interested in something as adults, something that we've always been into since we were kids, I think it's just interesting to reflect back on those things and just see where that insight or what early on inspired you and kind of led you down this path. Because I think the reality is, like, when we're kids, that's when we're not afraid as much what other people think, and we're more willing to pursue our interests. And of course, as we get older, if those interests are a little weird and are different than the interests of other children, it's sometimes hard to stick with those things because you get judged and just you don't always fit in. But so I think for me, I was probably like 5 or 6 years old, early elementary school. We'll go trick-or-treating in my parents' neighborhood, and there was this one house up the street. Quite a few high school kids would decorate the home and have a little haunted house set up out front. Remember, there was like this body on the zip line. There was an actor or two on stilts. There were quite a few actors in costumes and masks. The front yard was like this cemetery. But in the neighborhood, this was like the cool house to stop by on Halloween while trick-or-treating. Just their setup was just really cool. And as a 5 or 6 year old, I was just amazed by it because I haven't seen anything like it before. I haven't been to any haunted houses at that point. I was pretty young. So just seeing that, I'm like, oh, this is really cool. The fact that you can build something that other people will come out and experience. So, but I remember year after year, I look forward to seeing that house display. And then the one year, a few years later, we went by the house on trick-or-treat night and there was nothing there. I think the parents that lived there were giving out candy, and we asked them, we're like, where's the display this year? We're looking forward to it. And they're like, oh, all of our kids grew up and went off to college, so no more display. They're not here anymore. So I was pretty bummed out. And I don't know, it might have been like a night or two after. I'm like, you know what, Mom? I want to be the next house that does this in the neighborhood here. And I was just so interested in it. And my mom encouraged me and start collecting some Halloween items throughout the year. And I think that next year started decorating my parents' home. So every year just kept getting bigger and bigger. First year was really just a little display. Actually, probably for the first few years, probably a little cemetery. Little year after year, I would start having some of my young friends come out, put on costumes and act in the display. And it just kept getting bigger and bigger. Then when my parents moved when I was in middle school, I continued the experience at their house then, and kind of had more of like a longer walkthrough that kind of went through my parents' backyard, and much more like a haunted house feel as opposed to a front yard display. So, and then went off to college, and I would return from college around Halloween to continue to set up my parents' house. And I think after that first year, it was just too much. And I'm like, you know what? I'm kind of outgrowing this. I need to take it to the next level. And that's when Brian and I kicked off Ravenkill Mansion on our college campus. So we did that for a few years. And I just remember looking back and thinking, like, man, I think both of us were like, it'd be cool to one day to do this professionally. I mean, we did it through our fraternity at the college, but just the people that came out to experience, it was just really cool. The fact that it took place in this historic haunted mansion. So pretty much ran that until we graduated college. And this many years later, of course, we brought Lincoln Mill to life. So it's kind of many years in the making. But one thing we actually haven't touched on is we actually tried building a haunted attraction, professional haunted attraction, in about 2016, also in Manayunk. So we did have this building that we were getting pretty serious about in Manayunk, a few blocks up. It was an old textile mill. and there was a lot of work that needed to be done to it. I don't think it had the fire suppression system. I don't think it had the appropriate number of exits. So we realized there's a lot of money that would have needed to have gone into it. And at the time I was studying for my architecture exams. Brian was building his company. So it just kind of fell flat and never came to life. And then when I ended up getting my house quite a few years later in Bethlehem, I pretty much continued my haunted house experiences at my own house, where I can pretty much do what I wanted. I wasn't restricted to what my parents would let me do. So it's definitely come a long way. And now Lincoln Mill is in its 4th season, and we are on the map of haunted attractions, not only in the Philly region, but we're starting to get the word out there about our brand and our story and Victor Kane, the Hidden Chamber. So it's certainly been a wild ride so far. So yeah, definitely interesting to reflect back on those early days. And now I think the challenge is, how do we continue moving forward? How do we create the vision for the future? What do the next 5 years hold? What do the next 10 years hold? And that's the neat thing about documenting these reflections and just kind of looking back. So if there's something that you've been interested in since you were a kid, a certain hobby or strong interest, definitely I think it's a good idea to reflect back on that to see where that early insight came from, because I think that reveals something about your true authentic self. And I think in today's age, I think we need more people to bring forward their authentic selves. I think we need to learn to be okay with being a little different and embracing what makes us unique. So on that note, I'm gonna end this video, and in the next few we'll talk a bit more about the inspiration behind Lincoln Mill and where Lincoln Mill is going in the near future. So see you later.